Hey neighbor, welcome back to Beyond ARTV. My name is John, and over the years, I've talked about my stances on politics and social justice to a degree, but it's not something that I try to bring into that many of my videos because we already get flooded with so much of that on social media, in the news, and I try to carve out a spot where it doesn't constantly feel like a shouting match with woke points up for grabs. If you've been living under a rock or else off of social media for the past 5 or so years, then welcome to hell, where everyone is only as good as their potentially offensive Twitter history that can't ever be redeemed or erased, forever canceled no matter what kind of person you may have grown into in the years between your poorly worded post. Sometimes people get the wrong idea about me when I say something to the effect of, well, I'm anti-SJW or whatever else I've touted in the past. I've kind of moved away from using the social justice warrior label just due to the fact that there are plenty of amazing social justice causes out there to get behind, but there's a difference between being woke to the issues and just digging up old receipts or dragging someone just to make yourself feel like you've helped the cause, whatever the hell that may be. Music often goes hand in hand with whatever movement is taking place in a given country. And here in the States, throughout the decades, we've seen so many protest songs about various causes, and I'm completely okay with that happening. Hell, I made an entire video about that exact subject of why politics and music belong together. But here's the line that I feel gets crossed way too often modern day. Just like with social media, when popular artists start spouting off buzzwords in their songs that sound like poorly researched Twitter clapbacks done for likes, then I've got a major fucking problem with what you're writing. On the agenda for potential discussion in pop music over the past decade, we've seen everything from gay rights to police brutality to gun violence and climate change, and these are all issues worth campaigning for and rallying behind. The problem isn't the subject matter, it's the fact that so many popular artists homogenize the issues to make them seem so crystal clear, so left and right, when many of them really aren't the right sources to even be taking on these issues in the first place. There's examples on both sides of the fence, good and bad, issues worth representing that are well executed, and then there's those that try so hard to be woke that instead of the change that they seem to suddenly want to bring, they just attract listeners like me instead who can see right through your game, the game of winning over the woke Twitter stands you need to appease so that you seem like some sort of social justice champion. Before I unravel any further, let's go through the good, the bad, and the woke to see exactly what I'm talking about. We'll mainly be focusing on the bad, you saw the title of the video, but stick around to the end since I'm going to be listing, name-dropping, shouting out some good examples of woke tracks. Politics and music, maybe it's tackling sexism, racism, classism, whatever it may be. There's a Spotify playlist linked below of that same name that you can follow if you would like to hear the songs that I'm talking about in full. But for now, let's go for the low-hanging fruit first.
So put your rose-colored glasses on.
Katy Perry's entire Witness album cycle was a wannabe woke nightmare that initially pushed the idea of purposeful pop. And in theory, there's really nothing wrong with that, outside of the fact that Katy seems to have no idea what the hell she's doing or how some of her own actions have contradicted the movement she's supposedly supporting. Have you ever seen an armadillo inside a Walmart? You'd probably just stare at it and kind of pity it from a distance like, oh, you poor animal, like, honey, you're not supposed to be in here, let's get you back outside. Katy was the armadillo in this situation, and Walmart is woke culture. And when Walmart doesn't even want you, oh man, that's just a bummer. She's doing her best, I suppose, but these haphazard lines about living in white picket fences while sliding on some rose-colored glasses didn't go over well coming from the mouth of Katy Perry. I mean, it's hard to believe that she suddenly came to the conclusion that she wanted to start making music with subliminal political messages overnight. It was 100% virtue signaling that anyone with half a brain could have seen right through.
Sunshine on the street at the parade, but you would rather be in the dark age.
Why not take a few shots at the biggest artist on the planet, Taylor Swift, the former rival of the woman that we just talked about, Katy Perry, while we're at it. They sure did change their tune very quickly once it became clear that woke culture wouldn't accept you unless you supported all women, no matter what, all the time. Just saying. So Lover, Taylor's latest album, included a few doses of politics that just felt tactless in their delivery. I'm not saying that Taylor can't speak her mind or speak out about issues that she feels compelled to because of her privilege, but oh my god, her privilege is so apparent that I can't do anything other than laugh when I hear some of the lines on her single You Need to Calm Down. She actually made a huge portion of the song about herself and her haters, and while there's plenty of not so subtle lines from the second verse onwards that tackle bigots, sexists, and racists, she used the music video to make it seem as if every prominent figure in the LGBT community Katy had her back. It drives me insane to not only see this giant patting of her own back, but to see her basically pulling out the horror cliche versions of every character in the music video to represent the bad, bigoted people of the world. I mean, not all homophobes and racists are running around shouting slurs constantly and wearing MAGA hats. Shitbags hide in plain sight all the time, and I truly don't think her vision of those types of people is grounded in reality. I also don't think the other track that I wanted to mention from Lover entirely knows what it's doing beyond the virtue signaling to the lowest common denominator that spends their days sharing generic quotes on Facebook, but hey, let's have a quick listen.
Wondering if I'd get there quicker if I was a man.
Outside of the fact that the song is mildly irritating just from a musical standpoint, even though it's well produced, she again oversimplifies the issue and doesn't hand off much of anything that really could actually shake up the conversation. She's right in the sense that more is expected of women, but is Taylor Swift really the artist to look to for someone whose career could have been bigger if they were a man? Absolutely not. Again, this is the biggest artist of the 21st century so far.
Lost his old occupation, but it wasn't immigration. It was a machine automation that replaced him.
I really liked Grandson at first, but then I realized that he was kind of a broken record that looped over and over after seeing him live in concert. After every single song, he gave a long speech using buzzwords to make the crowd cheer in support of things that literally any decent human being would agree with. He's got some really good songs like Blood Water that I do dig, but the more I listen, the more I'm starting to feel like he's a one-trick pony that doesn't have much to add to the story. The closing song from Dua Lipa's new album drove me insane. The album outside of that is fantastic, but what a sour note to end on. Dua brings up the very real plight that women face, feeling unsafe, like they can't walk the streets at night, and that they have to cover up, if they don't want to be objectified, etc., etc. And just to be clear, I don't disagree with that or her right to voice those fears on behalf of other women at all. I mean, how could I? The horribly annoying chorus is where this shit show starts to go up in flames. Boys will be boys, but girls will be women. Wow, okay, yeah, level up for women everywhere, right? Go scream "Yas, Queen" into an infinite void on fucking Twitter and high five. Well, I guess right now you'd elbow five and celebrate that women are better and more mature than men. You can argue with me all you want about her intentions with the track. I'm well aware that she put it last because she wanted to have an empowering anthem for females. But I hate this idea of modern feminism that paints women as superior instead of equals, which is what it's supposed to be. No sex or gender is better than the other. And the mansplained lyric? Come on, Dua, stop! The cringe is killing me.
But won't be caught that letting a man tell me what I should do in my bed.
I don't think it would be fair to make a video about fake woke attitudes in modern pop without talking about Halsey, an artist who has consistently referred to herself as alternative, not pop. Yet, a pop artist she remains. Hey, it doesn't have to be a bad thing, and to be fair, she showed significant growth on her latest album, Manic, but there's plenty of trashy tracks in her back catalog we could ravage through to see her perspective on what it means to be a super trendy woke artist. I'd be no better than the ones I'm calling out if I went way back to pull out older tracks like New Americana and use that as my shining star example of Halsey's desperate attempts to gain brownie points with the cool kids. No, instead I'm talking about Nightmare, a song that didn't quite make the cut for the album. This again plays out a bit like asking for a round of applause after saying something completely ordinary and obvious, like I shouldn't have to smile to be a nice person or to be considered a friendly woman, as she talked about with this one, or to get super specific, we had the line, I've been polite, but I won't be caught dead letting a man tell me what I should do with my bed. What are you doing with your bed, Halsey? I mean, I hate to say that this song was probably written about me, but I did tell her that she probably shouldn't just slide her giant king-size bed across wooden floors or else they'd get scratched. But damn, I was just trying to help. Jokes, obviously. She's saying that no one should be able to tell her what she does under the sheets in her own bed, and of course, sure, no one should. Here's the thing though, you're not reaching anyone outside of a demographic that completely agrees with you and everything that you're saying already. And that's one of the biggest problems that I have with Halsey. She acts like she's bringing a new brigade of change when really, she tends to take a stand for some of the most bizarre non-issues even outside of her music and isn't actually getting anything across to anyone that didn't already feel this way. It would be naive of me to say that I know all of the intentions of every artist I just mentioned, because I don't. But it's hard not to feel like these songs, along with plenty of others out there, just exist for the sake of one-upping each other's woke points that they can point back to at a later date. Look what I did for the community! Look at me, see how I'm out here on the front lines for social justice? I'm more woke than you, just look at that new line that I put in my song. Listen, we all appreciate your donations to nonprofits and charities. They absolutely help, and I'm sure that the messages translate well for those who rarely think outside of their own boxes, but I want to briefly touch on some songs that can actually make you think. Ones that don't make everything seem too easy or else toxic. Beyonce's fierce anthem Freedom, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis with Same Love, which was huge for rap back in 2013. Kendrick Lamar's seemingly upbeat message of protest Alright, Lily Allen's incredibly catchy but thought-provoking hit The Fear, Kesha's healing journey Praying, Usher's Black Lives Matter protest Chains, Casey Musgraves turning heads in country with the queer-friendly Follow Your Arrow. Oh my god, there's an endless supply of great ones too. Do you see what I'm trying to tell you here? These are all songs with real messages relayed in a persuasive manner that argue their points well, and they use music to push the narrative forward rather than dwell in this lonely place that I like to call fake woke. If you're looking for more, there's an entire playlist down below with the good, the bad, and the woke, but here's a quick shout out to some landmine tracks that tackle societal problems of all kinds. Childish Gambino addresses black communities, violence, and much more on the seminal This Is America, and others like Solange's Crane in the Sky, Pearl Jam's Can't Deny Me or Else Quick Escape, and Janelle Monáe with Django Jane, and really the entire album Dirty Computer. To all the artists that I've criticized in this video, be better than just the surface level bullshit that doesn't move anything one way or the other. If you're gonna take a stand and make your voice clear rather than repackaging a think piece you read about modern culture. The good examples speak for themselves, and while there's loads of good and bad that we could still get into, I'm just gonna wrap it up here. Appreciate you watching, and if you enjoyed what you saw today, share it out and drop a like on the video. Just because you saw an artist here in a negative manner does not mean that I hate them, obviously, but I'd love to know your take on the woke pop movement in the comments. You can watch another Think Tank episode by tapping here or over here for my video about politics and music. Follow me on my social scene on screen, and I'll see you soon for more on Beyond ARTV.